Hey everybody, Sterling R. Jackson. Today I wanted to talk about a singer that I noticed quite a while ago, probably like over 10 years ago, maybe a little bit less, with just this gorgeous voice. And yeah, I thought I would just watch one of her videos here and talk about her voice a little bit and just some of the things that make it very moving. If you don't know me too much, I've been a musician for a really long time and been teaching people how to sing for a little bit over, probably it's been like 11 years now. So um, the person here I'm talking about is an artist named Dodie, or that goes by Dodie. She's an English artist and YouTuber. I remember a student of mine brought her music up like probably like 8 years ago or something. And it was one of those things that a younger artist brought up to me. And then, it kind of felt like cutesy or whatever at the time, but it was one of those things where you listen to it and you're like, well, that's pretty good. That's like, that's like, that's really good. That's that's amazing. And I never really did, like I said, too much of a deep dive, and I don't do that much anymore when it comes to music in the first place. Some of it I think is because of being a musician, and like um, I'm not really searching out music too much because it kind of influences me a lot, and I like to stay in my own head, and I'm always writing and doing all those things anyway. So having those external influences can help and it can hinder in certain ways. But it's also, I don't know, it's just a weird place. Music affects me very heavily, even when it's bad. And most of the new music I hear, I just don't jive with. So sometimes I don't waste the energy. Anyway, um, but yeah, so like yeah, I haven't gone through this person's discography and all those things, but the stuff I have heard, every time I've heard it, even if the lyrics were a little bit more fun or nonsensical or whatever, her voice has always been really, really moving. And when I say that, having taught people how to sing for so long, um, I'd say maybe 3% of the people I've taught have a voice that's the kind of voice where you could sit in a room with no microphone and no anything like that, maybe just a guitar or something, and like be captivated and be like, wow, that's really amazing. That doesn't happen much. I don't necessarily think it could probably happen with me either. I don't know if I have a voice where I could just sit down and sing a song and really have a lot of people collectively be like, dude, that's awesome. But maybe sometimes. Anyway, I know I strive for that because I remember hearing when that really hit me, as especially more of as like a rock artist, I heard Sting sing like "Message in a Bottle" or something on Howard Stern, like an entire octave down, um, and it was just still amazing. And I remember being like, if I'm going to be a singer, I'm going to be a good singer. You got to be able to cover that entire gamut. Like you got to be able to belt and be up here, and you got to be able to bring the energy way down and still have it be this a powerful experience. And yeah, he was just a castaway, an island lost at sea. Oh, and you were just like, man. So anyway, yeah, it's not something you find very much, and when you do, a lot of times, like this person, for example, it's something people definitely latch onto. So when I saw her videos at first, it was something like almost like an iPhone recording, not well done, and original music, which does not happen very much, and it was still great to the point where you're like, "Fuck, dude." Even without a production, this person was great. So, and that's that's awesome. So anyway, in that time, she has amassed one hell of a following. If I look here, it looks like she's put out as of October 2022, 210 videos, 2 million subscribers. If you don't know, if you have 2 million subscribers, that can do a lot of things for you financially. We're not even talking about selling actual music, if that even happens anymore, and things of that late nature. So 415 million views, and once again, we're talking about original music, so it's not like just all covers and getting hits on those, which you're sharing revenue on. Enough of the money side of it. And then she has a side channel with over 190 videos, and that almost has 1 million subscribers as well. So Dodie was born Dorothy Miranda Clark. She's an English singer-songwriter, author. She's a book writer, too. She one of them book writers. And YouTuber. So she began her career by uploading original songs and covers to YouTube. And, it looks like there's a bunch of different stuff here, with things that she's released. She has a brother. I don't know what this says. Wikipedia problem says she has a brother named Ian. That's confusing. So we have some more information. It looks like she came out as bisexual. I know a lot of her songs that I have heard seem to be dealing with love and love problems. But then another thing that's good to talk about here is that she talks about depression, anxiety, depersonalization. I haven't heard that one yet. And, a lot of that kind of stuff. And something that I talk about often, if I get a chance to be that guy and really break down my beliefs, because everybody wants to know those. No, I mention a lot that music is the voice of a culture. It's the voice of people. We're this one consciousness. And these art things, or these things we're creating, are these one-off reflections of who we feel we are, and they're expressions of who we are. So now, I know that the typical music most people hear is pretty simple and pretty dumbed down, and it seems to be that if we really were to chase down, like, what's the number one song, or whatever, most of that stuff is really dumb. It's all the same. It's the same regurgitated thing. And I know in a lot of ways that's just being pushed by money and music labels and all the whatever the hell else. But yeah, so to say that the main thing our culture, especially in America, is saying is, tonight's the night, you're number one, I'm going to get together and we're going to fuck. A bunch of really, it's kind of ignorant, stupid things. So hearing actual, artists that are talented and everything talking more about things that maybe I would talk about in my music and stuff, which is mental health struggles, your own health struggles, things of that nature, is empowering to me, because it means that there are people out there that are saying real shit that matters to people and that we're actually struggling with, and not just, this fleeting escapism, like, that kind of bullshit. So anyway, so the song here that I have pulled up, I remember seeing a clip of this on the Instagrams a while back, and once again, it was one of those things where you're just instantly captivated. So I'll talk a little bit about her voice, but I'll try to share some of this as well. I don't think she wrote this. It's a cover of somebody else. I apologize. A cover of Olivia Rodrigo's One Step Forward, Three Steps Back. So it's another love song, a very sad song. So let's do it.
Called you on the phone today, just to ask you how you were.
Just instantly wonderful. So we have these guitars that are just dancing around quietly, and you can tell, looking at this dude, everybody's in this really quiet vibe and pocket, and it's just wonderful, and it instantly kind of reels you in. And the way that Dodie sings, she barely opens her mouth, which I'm always an advocate for people that sing that way, because I do it as well, not only because of jaw problems and things of that nature, but I think it tends to, as a singing person, coach, whatever the fuck, I think it tends to kind of capture more of your unique resonance, whereas opening up kind of brightens things, and you shoot out of your face a little bit more. I think it's sometimes when you close all that down a lot more, it tends to accentuate and make more of a unique sound of your head and your skull shape and your nasal shape and all that. So with her, we have barely any mouth movement, and it almost reels you in more, because you're like, what are you saying? It sounds like somebody's singing you to sleep right next to you. You're like, just to ask you how you were. So
all I did was speak normally, but somehow I still struck a nerve.
You feeling that?
You got me fucked up in the head, boy. Never doubted myself so much.
Also noticed that the one guitarist here is affiliated often with Pomplamoose. If you don't know Pomplamoose, great band. Natalie Dawn and Jack Canty. Jack is the creator of Patreon, a very wonderful human being from what I've seen. And Natalie's got a beautiful voice. And yeah, Pomplamoose, the guitar player was often playing with them, and probably a bunch of other bands. So it's another great band for you to look up. Natalie has a similar voice. It's almost like an old 1950s style voice. She ain't that old. You know what I'm saying? but it's yeah, it's one of those old type of voices that once again reels you in.
Like, am I pretty? Am I fun, boy? I hate that I give you power over that kind of stuff. 'Cause it's always one step forward and 3 steps back.
So there's a thing in our culture now too, which technology has just kind of ruined the raw, real element of music a lot of times, and we're all guilty of it. And now it's got its way onto stage, where every drummer is playing to a click, and then the music they're playing to playback, and they're playing to all these things, and it takes away any kind of a human, realistic element. And people wanted that. They always, I want to hear it like it is on the album. And then people make stuff and they can't recreate it on the stage, and then so they have to fake it, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder. And then most of these singers that I know are now singing with autotune programs, and not just autotune, but the whole thing is laid out in MIDI and laid out beforehand, meaning that it's electronically laid out to take your note exactly where it needs to go. And basically all you need to do is just go up there and start making noise and have a pulse, and you will be on key. And that doesn't mean that people aren't good entertainers or good frontmen and stuff, but we can definitely see that things are getting worse. And what's sad about it is that, as somebody that's toured a little bit or definitely seen enough live shows and been alive long enough to see the way that shows used to affect people to the way that they don't affect people now. People are just either standing there watching it through their phone, and that's ironic and strange, or they're just dead to the world. Like, you can barely, even with the most intense music, you can barely kind of get people to move. They're just kind of like, so it's a really odd thing. But anyway, there's this beautiful thing that's happening here where I don't detect any autotune in it. It's got a rawness and a realness to it. She's able to sing enough on key, but enough with even like little mistakes where you're still just, it's once again, it sounds like this angelic mother sitting next to you in a bed just singing you this song, and you're like, that's great. Could you sing me another one? This is really great. Thanks for coming over. So let's go. We'll go a little bit farther. I don't want to keep you here too long, but yeah.
I'm the love of your life until I make you mad. It's 1 step forward and 3 steps back. Do you love me, want me, hate me? Boy, I don't understand. No, I don't understand.
So right there, even when she said stand, her voice, she didn't even have chord closure, like her chords weren't together. It was like a whisper. No, I don't understand. And it's still like, oh my God. So really, really wonderful thing. I don't have to sit here and watch the whole performance. YouTube gets mad when you do that, because then you're stealing other people's content. And that doesn't happen on the internet. Ain't nobody stealing nobody else's stuff. So have a sip of coffee there. Anyway, yeah, like I said, wanted to share a little bit of this. Just fantastic. I also know that she did a Little Desk concert recently. If you don't know those, they're great. But once again, it's hard for people to sound better sometimes, or sound really captivating in that small kind of thing where they don't have a bunch of effects and all these things. But I do know that she can actually sing loud and kind of gets into more of a belty, big range of stuff too. So it's not always just this like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps back. Get it right. So let's skip ahead here really quick and see. I think this whole song's pretty much staying in this wonderful pocket, but it's just lovely.
Everything I said, it's back and forth. Did I do something wrong? It's back and forth. Maybe this is all your fault.
Anyway, I'll stop going on about it. I thank you guys for joining me with this. I'm going to be doing more stuff like this, breaking down people's voices. If you want to know more about this stuff, you can always follow and subscribe and hit the old notification bell. That helps me quite a bit. If you want to know about the video I made, I should be able to put that up somewhere, wherever the hell that would be. And you can watch that. Basically, at the end of the day, if you're trying to develop a better voice, or you're trying to develop a foundation, or you're trying to get to know your voice, mimicry can do only so many things for you until you're going to hit up against walls and stuff. But when it comes to sounding like somebody like this, or developing a voice that's wonderful and pleasing like this, we got to get into a place where we have some kind of a foundation, but we know our voice, and we're not trying so hard. You got to get out of your speaking voice a lot and kind of allow yourself to understand what it feels like to sing. But there's a lot of different things about it. Look up placement. I've talked about videos about placement quite a bit. Understanding what a pocket means, staying in a pocket. One of the main things you're hearing come across in her voice is the ability to stay in a pocket and not deviate very much from that pocket. So what does she sing there? I'll sing it down lower in my range. It's always one step forward and 3 steps back. You're the love of my life until I make you mad. Something like that, right? So if I can find a placement, and I find that sound and that continuous feeling and that continuous continuity throughout my voice, even the way it feels, everything, I want to stay in that and have my words not be throwing that placement and that tone all around. So I'm going to try to wrap those words lightly around that feeling and that tonal placement. Always one step forward and 3 steps back. Essentially, if you can start to learn how to kind of stay in those pockets and know what your pocket really likes is, some people have more of one vowel than they do the other vowel. Once you kind of learn that and learn how to stay in that, your voice can be pleasing in any language. Your music can be pleasing in any language, because it doesn't really matter what you're saying. It's just wonderfully warm and just pleasing to listen to. Does that make sense? Whereas if I go, it's always one step forward and 3 steps back, I get into this heavily enunciated kind of Blink-182 type thing. It's always one step forward, 3 steps back. And then we get into a place where all that is gone. There is some kind of continuity if I continue to keep doing that throughout the whole song, but I think you probably understand what I'm saying. But yeah, so thank you for tuning in, everybody. I will see you sometime soon. I appreciate you.